Hi, welcome back to the This Is Me podcast. I'm Karen.
And I'm Ellie, and today we have Amy joining us. And Amy is an actor and headshot photographer who quit her corporate job to start her own business to focus on living a creative life. And it's also very exciting for me because she is one of my dearest friends in the world, and I think she's great. So I've forced her to come on and tell us all about how amazing she is. So on that note, Amy, with absolutely no pressure whatsoever, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and sort of how you've got to where you are at the moment?
Oh, that is super cute. Thanks, Ellie. I'm glad that you think I'm interesting.
I do.
Thanks. Okay, well, what was the question?
Just tell us a bit about yourself.
What's 4 plus 4 plus 4?
Well, as you know, I'm Amy. So I moved to London when I was 18 to pursue an acting career, and never left. And I guess how I've ended up where I am today. So did 3 years of an acting degree, loved it. That was what I wanted to do. But when I graduated, it was, as everyone knows, the acting industry is extremely tough. And even though you know it's going to be tough, I don't think anything quite prepares you for it, because there is absolutely no right path to build a career in acting. So I really struggled with that mentally. And I was very poor, couldn't really afford to do nice things in London, couldn't really go out with my friends. And it's quite hard when you have like lots of your other friends who study different subjects, when you see them enjoying life and you feel like you can't really participate fully, because you're constantly worrying about like where your next paycheck's going to come from. Because I was doing lots of like freelance odd jobs here and there, like promoting clubs and all that sort of stuff. So I worked in a call center. And whilst I was waiting for auditions to come through, and then just really struggled with that. I think looking back, I was probably in a very like bad place mentally, but didn't realize it at the time. And I actually went home for a couple of weeks, and was quite emotionally devastated, because I was like, I don't know where I'm going with my life, la la la. And my mum said, I think you should think about getting a different career, but she says, you don't need to give up acting, but just have something else that you can like earn some decent money, because you want to stay in London, but you're not living a life, and you can't contribute to your acting career if you're not living, because you won't have any experiences, and like you're miserable. So you need to think about something else. So I basically learned about recruitment. I never heard of recruitment in my life.
Where from?
So my stepmother, she was a nurse, and she turned to me. She did a lot of contracting. She said, have you ever heard about recruitment? And I was like, no. And she said, oh, I go through recruiters all the time because I'm constantly changing jobs. So it's a bit like an agent, like an acting agent, but for like different professions. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And apparently you can earn loads of money. Like they sell you the dream that you can earn loads of money. I mean, you can, I think, if you have your own business and like, care about being salesy. So I got in my mind that I was going to go back to London and be a recruiter. So that's what I did. And I spoke to some recruitment agencies and did about, I swear, like 20 interviews, and finally got this like grad job as a recruiter, like very junior, and then trained my way up. It was in financial services. So I used to work with banks and asset management, hiring specifically in risk. So niche. And I did that for a few years, and I moved into different agencies, but agencies is very salesy, and I'm not a salesy person. So after a while, I was a bit over it. So I would move to Close Brothers Bank. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're like a British bank.
Yeah.
So I moved in-house, you would call it. So I recruited for the bank. And then that's when I really started to enjoy recruitment, I guess, because I was working for the company. There was no sales element. You were just hiring for that business. And then I stayed there for a couple of years and went to somewhere else, which was a fintech, which was my last job. And I was there for 3 years, maybe, on and off. There's a story behind that, which I'll come to. But yeah, and I did, I feel like I did build a life in London, being able to be on a salaried job. And like at that time in my life, like that was the right move. And it didn't mean I kept acting, as Ellie knows, like I have a little theatre company and we were still performing. I was still doing bits of films, taking the jobs where I could, but like it wasn't quite enough. And then I think over the last few years, couple of years, as I was like kind of approaching my 30s, I was thinking, oh my God, like I don't think I could do this forever. Like as much as this has provided me the life that I want, like I'm so bored. And I don't enjoy the work that I'm doing. Like I'm just like on autopilot, and yeah, it is not fulfilling me. And then I actually journal a lot. And so as Ellie knows, I talk about journaling all the time. I've always journaled, and I started picking it up again, probably when I was like 26, not long after COVID. I think I started journaling again. And that's when COVID really shifted for me, because I think I was a little bit like, right, I need to like crack on with what I want to do, but I don't like, how do I know what I want to do? It's be an actor, but how do I get to that point full time? Because I need something else that's creative. And in my journal, I write loads about, I want to live a creative life and I hope I don't have to do this forever. And then when I was coming up to 29 years old, there was redundancies happening at the fintech company that I was working at. And I was made redundant, which was a blessing actually. And I took I didn't. How much time did I take off? I was off from November, and I was off all the way up until like April. So I took a really large
it
chunk.
Extended, doesn't it? It wasn't.
Yeah.
I can't remember what happened, but yeah. Sorry, you go on. Your story.
No. So yeah, I basically knew I was getting made redundant, and I stayed at the company for a few more months, and then I left in November, and and then I decided to go and do something cool, and went traveling. I went to South Africa to volunteer out there on like one of the nature reserves, because I've never done any of that. I never took a gap year, never did anything. Just went straight. I've always just sort of studied or been in work. And when I was out there, I was taking loads of photos, as you would, because you're like surrounded by wildlife all the time. And but I was mainly taking pictures of the people looking at animals. And one of the women there said to me, have you ever thought about doing this as a job? Because you clearly like taking photos of people. And I was like, yeah, no, I just enjoyed doing it. And then it was weird. And then I was like you don't really have social media when you're out there as well. So I was pretty like switched off from the world. And I was just had this thought and was like, you know what, maybe I could be a headshot photographer, which is crazy because I don't actually know how to use did not know how to use my camera properly. So I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I quickly shut that thought down, and I was like, no, like you can't be a headshot photographer. You don't even know how to do it. People study photography for years. But it like kind of grew like a little seed, I think. And then when I came home from South Africa, I turned 30 at the end of that year. And I took a few more months off, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to learn how to do it, and I'm just going to try it, because then I could have my own headshot photography business alongside my acting. And then it's like the creative life that I've always wanted.
Yeah.
And so I did
manifested.
I did. But then, and then when I read back through my journals, I've journaled this whole thing. I'd forgotten that I had talked about the fact I'd wanted this creative life. It's really weird to think that, I guess I did manifest it, but without realizing.
Yeah.
So how does the headshot? So what at the moment? This is your business, then, yeah? You were saying that now this is your life, your business, yeah. So you act and you do headshots still, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought I'll start with headshots because I have a huge network of actors already. A lot of my friends are actors, and I go to like a lot of acting workshops, so I have connections there. And there's, actors get their headshots done every couple of years. And there's lots and lots of us out there. So, I just thought that would be the best place to start, and I'll just see where it goes. I was also going to do pet photography at that time.
Nice.
Because I have a dog who is with me all the time. He's large part of my marketing.
I was going to say, is he there today?
No, he's not here today. Because at Ollie's homes, I was like, I'll just leave him with you. But then I quickly squashed that idea because my dog is quite well behaved. Like, he will just sit there. And I tried to photograph other people's dogs who are like obviously full of energy, which is normal. Kobe's a bit not normal. And I just thought, you know what, that's too stressful. At least with people, I can tell them.
Stop. They can obey you.
Yeah. And also I thought it was better to go down like a one niche to start with.
Yeah.
And then it's funny, like the more that as I've done that, I feel like I've done more acting work as well. I don't know how that's happened. I don't know if it's just because I am living in this world now, so I'm thinking about it all the time. So
yeah, and you've probably freed up the space to allow yourself to do it as well, because to be honest, like we all know what it's like. You like when you just 9 to 5 in it, sort of all the time. I say that, not that I've actually ever had a 9 to 5 in my entire life.
Yay!
Go you.
But like, what it's that pattern, isn't it? And like when you're done, it's not, you're like, oh well, I don't really want to go home and like sort out stuff for an audition or try and find auditions. Like, I just want to go home, read my book and go to bed, because I've got to get up in the morning and do it tomorrow.
Again and again. Like,
that is literally how I felt. Yeah. And that's how I felt. And I actually felt like, because I'm a really big evening person as well, I like to have my evenings. And it was getting to the point in my 9 to 5 where I would do nothing, but I wouldn't even read. Like, I would just, like, my mind would be so off. Like, I couldn't, like, I had no creative spark, actually. And I had some counselling, and that's also maybe the start of it. After COVID, I had some counselling, and she made me do I think it's like the 5 cups of life. And she made me, like, write a line of how full my cup was. And all of them, like friends, family, relationship, work, and creativity. I think those are the ones. They were all pretty high, except work and creativity was super, super low. And she was like, everything you've expressed to me is that you are a creative person and you're not getting that fulfillment in your life at the moment. And that was why at that time I was really struggling mentally. Because I wasn't finding the joy in anything. And it wasn't even that work was bad. Like, I'm making work sound like it was awful. But my 9 to 5, like the people and everything it was actually a really great job, but like, it just wasn't fulfilling me. And like,
it wasn't
mentally,
your passion,
it was
was
just
it?
taking a toll.
It wasn't the right environment for you. What have you found, like, because to set your own business up, how's that been? Like, what have been some of the biggest challenges? I know we'll come back what some of the joys are, but what have been some of the biggest challenges? Because that's a big step, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You know what, just even starting it, like, I was really embarrassed to tell people when I first said I was going to be a headshot photographer, because especially the people that know me, I think it was a bit of a shock, because it was like, you don't do photography. And I actually have a lot of friends that do photography, so it felt a little bit like, ooh. And I think, in classic imposter syndrome. And something about me I've noticed, and something I learned about myself when I was working in 9 to 5, because I used to get the feedback all the time, is that when I can't see the end of what I'm trying to build, I almost become at a standstill, because I've really struggled to move forward. And that was something I had to keep reminding myself, like, I don't know what my end product's going to be at the moment. So I have to just do it. So those were some of the times the biggest struggles, was just starting it. And I mean, what I still struggle with today is definitely imposter syndrome. There's some days where I look at the work and I think, I really like what I'm doing, and I'm doing so well. And then there's other days I'll wake up and be like, oh my God, this work is awful. Why am I doing this? And I think that's normal. I'm trying to ride that wave. I think that is a normal thing.
I think it is normal, because I think I am firmly of the belief that everyone is winging it.
I think
everyone's making it up as they're going along.
And some people are just
that helps sometimes, because like the imposter syndrome sometimes doesn't go away, but like, I am honest to God convinced there's not a person out there that's not making it up. Is that, like, we're making it up all the time,
all the time.
I think it is true.
I don't know how to stop this, and I hate with a passion imposter syndrome as a label. I hate it. I just think, where did that come from? Why has it become something we say about ourselves? When I'm with Ellie, anybody who hasn't got the ego of, I'm not going to mention any names, is winging it. But that's not being an imposter. But I hate imposter syndrome, and I think it's been particularly portrayed to women. Like, it's a thing. But I do think that what you're saying is right. Because you're in an industry where you're comparing yourself to other people, you are going to compare yourself. But that's not imposter syndrome. That's because you're always going to look. And that probably also is your creativity. Like, probably a little bit of perfectionism somewhere there. But I think to stand into that space of running your own business at your age is just amazing. It is amazing. It took me years, and I only did it in the end because of some massive trauma, and I spent years not doing it. So I think it's great. I think it's interesting for me. Obviously Ellie knows you really well. When you talk about creativity, when you're in your creative flow, what does it feel like being you? What is the Amy we would see?
It's a nice question. I think actually it's probably when I'm my most true self. Like if I think, sometimes I feel like it's almost like I'm in my childlike state. Maybe that's what I've been chasing in a way, is because also actors are known, like actors are basically like big children. Like there's a sense of like, we like to play. It's all about imagination. We're storytelling. And so I think that's why I've always enjoyed that part of it. And you're like, creating all the time. But then even as a kid, I was always very creative, and I used to write a lot, read. Really, I've always been a huge reader. Like paint. Like I used to always be creating something. And I think as I've gotten older, I've just completely lost that. And actually when I was made redundant, like I remember actually just trying to take that time of where I wasn't working, just doing things creatively. Like I came home and my partner Ollie was like, "What are you doing?" And I had like a canvas and I bought a load of paints and I was just painting. And it like what I created looked awful. Like I wouldn't share it with anyone, but I was just trying to do it to find like the joy in those things. Again. And I think a little bit, and I think, I'm probably my most energetic and happy self when I'm creating, and when I'm working, when I'm on set, when I'm taking photos. Like, it's the boring admin that I don't enjoy. Maybe those are the challenges, but I have to do those. So, what's your
favorite acting parts? Is there any particular sort of genre? I don't know whether you say that. I'm just pretending I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Character. What do you like? What do you like to do? I'm going to stop pretending I know what I'm talking about.
No. I mean, that is a very valid question. I think I like a lot of. I like to play lots of different parts, but I'm very drawn to comedy, which is funny because I'm not a comedic person. Like I'm not naturally very like funny. Like I think, well, like as a person, I don't think I'm funny at all.
Well, that's not true.
Thank you.
And it's a tough audience because you're friends with a lot of funny people, but you are funny.
Thanks, guys. Maybe you've all molded me.
No,
it's not as funny as me. No, that's a joke.
No, it's true. But I really I think I really find the joy in like making people laugh like on stage. And I usually play quite outrageous. At the moment, been playing quite outrageous characters. And even in the last film I did, what I really enjoyed, it was kind of like a period drama, which I really enjoyed. But I played like the villain.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And I played the villain, and like I enjoy finding the human parts in the villains, because I think, or like antagonists, that's what you would call them, because really they're not villains in their own head. Like they believe their truth, like they think they're doing the right thing. And like I always think it's just like a really different world to live in, and I think I really enjoy playing parts that aren't similar to me, I hope.
Yeah, no. You're not the villain in anyone's story.
You don't know.
So I have a question then, because actually thinking about it, so you have started your own business now, but it's not too dissimilar from like stuff that you have done previously. Because if I'd say for you, when you set up your production company, it's not too I know you don't have like bills riding on the product, like, but you didn't know that wouldn't be the case at the time. Do you know what I mean? So
that's true.
Yeah, and you did that when you were really, really young. Do you know what I mean? So what was the sort of drive behind that?
That's a good question. Yeah, so we were graduated when we were 21. So I owned that company with 3 other people. But it just started with 3 of us, and then we now have 4 of us, as owners. But the 3 of us were just the actors, so me, Tiff and Adam. We just started it because we knew we wanted to continue producing our own work. But it's really funny because the reason we brought someone else on board a few years later is because we were all, can I swear? I don't know, shit, or really bad at
you can swear, it's okay.
Admin and producing. So we liked creating the shows. And then none of us wanted to take the responsibility. So actually, then we hired Jensen.
Who does that sound like? Sorry, we have a really similar setup here. We don't like the admin.
Yeah, exactly.
Not at all, no.
Actually, I didn't really feel like I saw any of the admin. I don't feel like I've done much of the admin. I'm in charge of costumes, so there is that element. But again, it's still creative.
Yeah.
And so yeah, then we brought Jensen on board, and Jensen really elevated our company from there, because if we wouldn't be where we were without him. We wouldn't have been able to have done Edinburgh Fringe without him. The run at Wonderville that we did, because we were just not very good at it. So I definitely took some learnings from it, and I think about more how to market ourselves. And then I definitely have learned bits from that for sure.
What she
still wasn't very good at it.
Sorry, go on, Elle.
You don't know what you don't know either as well. Do you know what I mean? So bringing someone on that does know what to do and does know how to do it is the right move in that scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true.
Sorry,
I keep telling myself that I can't wait for the day when my business becomes a huge success, fingers crossed, that I can actually hire someone to do a lot of my admin and marketing for me and stuff like that. Because
yeah, which will happen. I have no doubt.
It will happen. Yeah, that's your head shop business. Yeah, is what? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
What's it called, Amy?
Really boring. Just Amy Rose Brown Photography. Just my name, because
that's who you are.
Well, yeah. Sorry, go on, Karen.
I was just interested in how you taught yourself photography, as I last year brought a camera and launched my really interesting. Me and you, like twins from another world. I'm like, I really want to take pictures of people, because I think but they're really hard, aren't they? So I had a few lessons, and then I gave up, put the camera away, took it out again last week, and everything's been taken on automatic. So just purely selfishly, starting from that base of you're not a photographer and you've got friends of photographers, how did you teach yourself? And how did you carry on teaching yourself and not get bored? So
actually very similar to you, Karen. So I got a camera. I asked for a camera for my birthday and Christmas a few years ago from Ollie, and he bought me one, and I chose it and everything. So I was like, I'm going to film my self tapes with this as well. And at that time, I wasn't thinking about becoming a photographer. I just wanted a nice camera.
Yeah.
And I did the same. I took it out, tried to figure out how to use it on manual, couldn't do it, and then it sat on my shelf for about 2 years, and I felt awful, because I remember thinking that Ollie spent all this money on it. And I even took it to South Africa, and I couldn't figure it out then either. So I just mainly took photos on my phone. And so, when I came back, I put myself on a course. It was like a 2-day course, actually, in the building where I now have my studio, funnily enough. Full circle moment. And I went to this, just found like this like course where they teach you how to like basics, basically. And like, that's exactly what I needed. I needed someone to really dumb it down for me and tell me like what each button did. And then we would go out and practice. So they would say, okay, so now we're going to take a photo of this balloon popping with water in it. So you're going to have to have a really fast shutter speed. So then we would be adjusting our settings in real time with this person teaching us. There was only like 4 people in the class. And so then I learned that way. And then I really enjoyed that one. And then I was like, well, I want to learn about lighting. And they did a portrait, like human studio one. So I then signed up to that as well. And then we did that with an actual person, and it worked from there. And then it was just practice, to be honest, until I was comfortable that I could maybe start charging people for it. But
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? I think that's exhausted me even listening to it. Of course. It's interesting, isn't it? But what kept you going? What kept you going? Because clearly I haven't kept going. So what was it that kept driving you on, even though, you knew it was something new you were learning and everything?
Yeah, I think it's, you were like, oh, it sounds exhausting. I think actually because I had that time off, that's what really helped me be able to focus on it.
Right.
Because I think, if I'd been working as well, I probably would have not put all my energy in. And then, to be honest, what kept me going was because I had told people, before I'd even taken these lessons, I had started telling people that I was going to do this as a business. So I was like, well, I've said it now, so I'm going to do it, because I've told all these people. And it'd be embarrassing if I don't do it now. So I think that's what drove me. And I am a little bit, that's something that's helped me now with just trying to keep like just doing stuff rather than trying to like think about the end result. Is like I have learned that like just doing it is actually what holds me accountable. Because then when I started like posting and like advertising myself. That's when it kind of like geared me on to kind of like keep pushing it. But rather than having like this big, well, maybe I should have a big marketing plan and be like, this week I'm doing this and this week I'm doing that. I don't have that because I just don't have the brain for it at the moment. But instead I would just like post stuff and then like ride that kind of wave.
Yeah.
And then I've kind of created this brand for myself now, and like color schemes. I was thinking about that the other day. And like, I didn't plan that. That's just kind of happened organically, just from like posting. And yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Isn't it so weird when suddenly you find yourself in a word where you're like, what's the colour scheme going to be? And you're like, how's this happened? What's gone on here? And what am I doing?
Yeah.
Literally.
Why is it
sort of happens before.
I know. No one's thinking about it. Yeah.
It is.
But it is.
They sent me some school ones yesterday, and I found myself commenting on the fact that I liked the second one because the A wasn't as compressed. Like, I thought, what have you become? Like, why is it it's like mental.
But the little things do matter. So
yeah, they do matter. Yeah. They matter to yourself.
Sorry, I'm just trying. I just had a question there, and I think it just came back to me, and then it's gone away again. Bear with me.
That's all right. You can pause for a minute while you remember your wonderful question.
I don't even think it was going to be a wonderful.
What was I talking about?
Witches.
Witches.
No, don't say witches. Sorry, Amy.
I was talking about.
Oh, it was about. I've remembered. So, because you'd said that what you struggle when you can't see the like the end goal. And I know that you said that you like, how did you teach yourself to push through in like without being able to see the end goal? Or did you it was just you had to?
I think I was struggling. I think it was the fear of sometimes it is the fear of failure because I can't see the end result that I'm like, well, it might not work. I don't know. I think maybe that's part of it. So then I come like frozen. Honestly, just doing it. I listen to a lot of podcasts and I listen to a lot of like audiobooks. I love listening about people's stories. And I think I've definitely told you about this book before, really, but Jimmy Carr's book, which is so weird, by the way, because I'm not a huge Jimmy Carr fan or anything, but I listened to his book twice, and he uses that of like, if you're feeling anxious or you're feeling like something is like nagging at you, you just got to do it because then you're going to feel better. And I did. Like once I started, I actually felt worse. Oh.
Don't worry about it. She'll be back.
I actually felt worse and a lot of anxiety and a lot of imposter syndrome when I was sitting, trying to think of what this end result was going to be. And then I actually just discovered when I just started to like post, or I just put up the ad, or I just did an action, that then the things would start rolling. So I think it's more just pushing myself really, and then reminding myself when I get stuck in those ruts. Like I wasn't stuck in a bit of a rut like that yesterday, actually. Okay, well, you just got to look at your to-do list and you've just got to action it. What is your next first step or whatever? What's that phrase? What's your first next step or something like that?
I don't know, but I believe you.
Yeah.
I think it is, particularly when it's like just you and like a small setup. Like it's hot. It gets really overwhelming.
Yeah.
Really quickly, doesn't it? And it is difficult. Yeah, but you do.
I think you just have
to push through, and sometimes I'm more asking because I struggle with it. So I was like, please teach me your ways.
Sometimes you can overthink it, and I think sometimes you've just got to focus on the next 4 weeks. Like, and you've got to like what I've been trying to do with Women of Our Time. I've run my own company for 15 years, and Women of Our Time, I'm just not putting any pressure on it, but I'm just really, really believing it's going to be what it's going to be, which like isn't a business book or a podcast or an audio book or a TED talk. But I'm just believing it will be what it will be, which is, you can't wait, but that's what I'm just believing, and that each day something will help us get there, which is like 360-degree different from how I've run my companies before. But if not, you can get overwhelmed.
I think it's so true. Yeah. Sometimes I just say like, well, you just got to be a little bit delusional.
Yeah.
And it's going to just all work out. And like, I do think that's what's got me.
But you also have to think, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? What is the worst thing that's going to happen? Do you know?
Well,
if you think, when was the worst time in your life for how it sounded like it was when you were in the recruitment, not because of the job or anything, but that sounded like it was really tough for you. So
yeah, and I actually went through such a crisis of like feeling guilty for feeling the way I was feeling, because I was like, I literally have everything going for me. Like, I've got a really nice job, I've got a great partner, I've got a great dog that I love so much, and I have a nice house, and I just felt like, why am I not happy? Like, that is like what is wrong with me? And like feeling so awful and guilty about that, because so many people have like worse off, and I felt quite like selfish for it.
It doesn't really help though.
I don't know.
I think it's really interesting, because we've had a couple of conversations like this now, and like there's been a fair few of them that are in a sort of similar position of like struck out and gone to work for themselves, and like I've asked, like, you know, like what got you to that point, and it sounds with everyone that it's sort of like, rather than it, because I think it's really brave, right? Because it is, because what do you mean you're going to go out on your own and do it, like, and you're just making it all up as you're going along? But it's almost everyone has been like, no, there was just a need. I couldn't continue doing what I was doing. I just needed to do it, and it's
I think that is correct, actually. Like, I just was like, I can't do it. I can't see my life. When I see my life in working like this forever and hoping I'm going to get some great acting job on the side at some point that will elevate me, and there was I just felt like I would have no control of my life whatsoever. Like, it was just being like written for me in a way of, and I just felt like I knew that I was not going to be happy.
Do you feel like you've created more space now for your acting by starting your own business as well?
For sure. And because of what I've chosen to do, like, I meet actors, directors, writers now every day, because I'm taking pictures of them. So I'm always constantly talking about it. Like, it's like a weird, like a networking way, in a way. I feel like I'm auditioning more than ever. Working more than ever.
It sounds like you are.
Yeah. Sorry. Which is weird though, because
I was just going to ask about auditions. How on earth do you like prepare for those, and how on earth do you like step into that space? Like, I see it on the telly and you think, mainly Joey on Friends, so it's not like a real sort of thing, but like, how on earth do you get yourself, you know, like, say does somebody come to you and say, oh, Amy, I've got this script, or how does it work? And then just talk me through it, because I'm so nosy.
Sometimes it is that, because like I've now got quite a nice network of like directors and writers, so there are times when there's someone I know will come with a script or something and say, I want to, and I've worked with them before, or they've found me on social media, because I started posting as well, like my acting on there, which I never used to do, and I have got work from that too. Or, you know, I do have an agent, so a lot of the time my auditions will come through them, and I don't know what it is, because I seem to get more auditions through her now than I have for a long time in my career. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if I'm portraying a different sort of side to myself to what I was. I probably wasn't putting as much effort into my profiles and stuff when I was working full time. Whereas now I feel like I absolutely hate this phrase, but building a brand. I probably have built more of a brand for myself as an actor too. So maybe I'm just,
I think it's a great question to ask yourself, isn't it? Because clearly you're attracting something, and it's always really good to know how. So you get a script. Sorry, this is really sorry, Ellie. I just need to know. So you get a script and say, Amy, I'd like you to be in a period. I'd like you to be in a period drama.
As well.
Yeah, I'm just making it up because we spoke about that. Then do you look at the thing and say, oh no, that's not me, or do you always have a go, like at what they've asked you to do? Do you?
I always have a go. I definitely still get some auditions through where I'm like, this is not me. I actually spoke to Ellie about one the other day. I got an audition through for a commercial to play a mum of 2 teenage daughters, and I literally looked at it and I was like, how is someone asked to see me for this? Because do not look like I have got 2 teenage daughters.
No,
yes, I don't think anyway. But I gave it a go. I gave it a go, but like sometimes you do get those auditions. Yeah.
So we do a lot of work with women in coaching or workshops or just like in advice. And one of the things that I think, looking at your sort of life journey, is it would be really amazing if you could like teach those women how to step into the character they're trying to play. How would you like, if we were, you know, say somebody's going for an interview tomorrow and it's going to be a director or they're going to be something else. How would you be able to say to someone about playing that part? What sort of tips how do you do it? How do you get into playing the part? And then we could have that as some great way of helping women.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
It's a sideline, Amy.
That is really interesting. Do you know, I used to use a lot. Yeah, I used to use a lot of my acting skills, I feel, at corporate jobs because, you know, when presenting and stuff, I almost put on like a persona, like a confidence, like fake it till you make it. Sometimes I would be like, I'm not really confident about the subject, but if I come across as confident and, you know, people are going to believe it. And I actually did a bit because I worked in recruitment. We used to talk about experiences and how we would think about like how a candidate must feel coming into an interview, because sometimes we can forget about that when we're the interviewers because we're just doing our job, and you actually have to think this is a huge moment for somebody. They could be coming in and interviewing for their dream job, and if we give them a rubbish experience, if we're late, if we're not engaged, like if we're not physically like giving them that attention, then they could walk away, and one, it looks bad for our brand, but two, like it can negatively impact them. And so I used to do a lot. I actually did a workshop of visualization, and I wrote like a little script, and I got everyone to close their eyes, and I walked them through a scenario and like said, you know, you're about to prepare for like your biggest job interview, and what they had for breakfast, and what they've done to prepare for the interview, and how they're feeling, and like sitting in front of their laptop because it was on Zoom, because everything's on Zoom now, and then talked around like how the interviewer came on, they were chaotic, rushed, interrupted, and silking wet. And then we like had this discussion afterwards about how they physically felt, like imagining that scenario. And that was really good feedback. So I think something like that would help, I think, if you were to do like a workshop on that is maybe getting people to imagine themselves in their role. Like how would they approach certain interview
I think it's
questions?
like applicable for anything. Like, you know, like we do a lot of work also with women that are being bullied or, you know, like, or harassed or something, and like, or anything really, where for that moment in time, you've got to be somebody different to yourself. I think that's really interesting for us to think about, because my
speak now. No, she was fine this morning, but an hour and a half. So,
but I do think like visualization does work.
I think so too, and I think there's a lot to be said for it, and I think there's a lot to be said for journaling as well, because, you know, when we've all been through the law of attraction phases in our lives, but I think that there is something to it because you're focusing your energy on it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, so you're just writing it down, but you just writing it down in your journal has got you to the point where you've sacked off what was your nice, safe, reliable way of life to create space for what you wanted. So I do think that, you know, that law of the journaling, the manifestation, the visualization, it's because of course it works because you're focusing your energy where you want to be. So you're putting more thought into it, you're putting more time into it, you're putting more effort, more space into it. So I think
it's true.
I think there's a lot to be said for it.
Consciously doing it. And I think like life is so chaotic and we have about 1,000 million things to think about all the time. Like I was using it almost as like a release to like just brain dump all my thoughts. So it wasn't even like really like intentionally thinking like I'm going to have this and I'm going to do this. I am a little bit now that I've started to think like maybe it's something's like working here, but really it was just to like get my thoughts out and I'd feel so much better afterwards. And I've noticed if I don't journal for a few days or a week or something, and because I've been so busy and I've not taken that time to just like write out how I'm feeling, I'll be really antsy and a little bit like tense.
Oh, really?
And I do notice a real difference. Sometimes I'll even journal twice a day now, especially at the moment when sometimes I feel like I've got 1,000 things to think about.
I'm just wondering how. So I've tried journaling a few times, but then I don't know. I start laughing at what I'm writing. I think this is weird. like what's all this about? And then secondly, I write a lot of notes. And so I think where I'm going here is I don't know whether that's similar, but I just need to write the notes to get it out of my head. But I don't actually do anything with it. Do you do anything with the journal, or is it just a download, or do you go back to it? Just a download. Yeah, that's what mine's like.
Just a download. And I say it's like a stream of consciousness, really. Like I don't go in knowing what I'm going to write. I just literally write what I'm feeling. It could be like, oh, yesterday I did this, and today I'm going to do this, and like, this happened, and that's made me feel a bit strange, and just really random. But then I do read it back, so I'm in the habit of reading it back sometimes, like not all the time, but just when I feel like it. And one thing I noticed is really interesting is like I often will write in there when I'm like, everything's not going to work and this is a really stupid idea, and then like I'm really nervous for this and I feel like it's going to go terribly, and then actually I'll have written like 3 days later and been like, it went really well, la 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 la, and I've completely forgotten about the fact that I had a meltdown about it about a few days earlier. And sometimes that's a really nice reminder to myself when I am feeling like those moments. It's actually probably not a huge deal, but in the moment they feel huge, but it was fine. It all was fine.
So. Okay, because I feel like, please tell me if you want me to correct, like, we are the spiralists, you know what I mean? Like, we are quite quick to spiral, and we spiral quite deeply, quite quickly as well, don't we? So I think it is...
No, you don't need to cut that, it's true, like, me and Ellie spiral together. But we always pick each other up.
We tend to spiral together, pardon?
Like, we'll be great at, like, letting one another spiral and being like, it's gonna be fine, but then the next day I'll spiral and you're like, no, it's gonna
like, we are the greatest at giving each other advice, but like, no, don't worry about your database and you're doing, can we take it for ourselves, for the life
I was going to say, I think there's too many like rules given now about how we have to behave, and
I think it's probably
just a natural thing. Not doing anything about it is the danger, isn't it? But spiraling, because of the way that our brain has developed over the years, unfortunately, it's a natural thing. I don't know whether there's like too much stuff talked about it now, and too much, like, oh, it's bad and you mustn't do this. I just think everything, you've got like a lecture on how you should behave and like what's right. I remember when I was going through my cancer treatment, it took me years to actually really accept that fear is natural. And that actually telling yourself off because you're frightened of the fact that you're going to go for a diagnosis or something like that is absolutely ridiculous. And that fear is not going to go away. So it's accepting it and acknowledging it, but then not living with it. But it took me years to understand why shouldn't I be frightened? Like, there's nothing wrong with being frightened. Yeah. Because it's a survival emotion.
Well, like suppressing the feeling, just maybe letting it out is the right way, because then you can move forward.
It makes me laugh that you two say you spiral together and you help each other, and I think that's amazing. But clearly the way you help each other suits both of you. Like, so it's good. Like, so you have to find your thing, don't you? Like, I remember that's why somebody told me to journal when I was going through my cancer diagnosis. Honest to God, I read it. Sometimes I thought you should be in a loony bin. I know that's probably not politically correct. And I found that actually I was writing in it things that were too scary for me. So I think probably I journaled at the wrong time. But I think my view is everybody should find their way, and there's something for everybody. And actually we're not all the same, are we? If you two are good, I'm going to call you two spiral buddies now. It's a new thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Spiral buddies.
Yeah. We are spiral buddies. It's a weekly occurrence, but we're okay.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think we are, because we get it out, and we're really lucky, because I know that and both of you two really are the people I spiral to the most, Jeremy. And I spiral to you both in different ways, but but I know, but it's really nice for me, because it's really nice to know that you've got people that you can do. Like, I know that I can send Amy a voice note, like a psychopath.
Yeah.
And I know Amy's going to do nothing other than say, okay, everything. I know what you mean. You're valid for feeling that way.
Yeah.
It's all going to be all right. And it's really nice.
It's actually, it is really nice. And that's why I do think it is kind of healthy, because yesterday I was on the verge of spiraling, and was trying really hard not to spiral. And actually, on the reflection, I wish I just had, because I had a horrible day yesterday where I felt really stressed and burnt out. And I was really trying hard to be like, talk myself down, be like, it's going to be fine. Like you're behaving ridiculously. And actually, I think if I had just like released everything that I was feeling,
I agree. And that's what I was trying to say
would
earlier.
have just gone over it so much quicker. Whereas I think I wasted a day yesterday of
back in the day, a good old spiral was part of life. Now it's a bit like, oh, I can't do that because I might have mental health issues, or I might have, like I was upset yesterday about something. Long story. And Isabel just went to me, Mom, stop it. Do you know, like, just let it out. Do you know, like, and I think it's a good thing to think about, which is sometimes it's more.
We'll never know. Wonder what the point of that was. Yeah. So, okay, the last couple of questions then. What do you want the next couple of months to look like for you?
That's probably what I'm spiraling about at the moment. No, I'm joking. Well, not really. I think I'm trying to build a podcast on my own, which is hard. And it started off as a really tiny idea where it wasn't going to be a podcast. It was going to be about me filming little snippets of my clients and people that I know talking about the acting industry and being a bit more candid with everyone's journeys. I think I've struggled with that over the years, comparing myself to everyone else, because we only ever see success and there's a lot more to the acting industry. And then when I was coming up with that idea, it's ballooned into like, actually, no, it should be a podcast because I should brand it now and blah, 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 blah. So I'm working towards that. But really, I just want to like keep building on top of what I am building, because the studio is still fairly new and I'm still trying to find out like new ways of marketing myself and things, and just keep doing what I'm doing and like adding little bits on the way. And hopefully not needing to get a part-time job,
which I'll text you about in a bit.
Yes, please. And then obviously keep auditioning and working creatively.
Awesome.
That's the dream.
It's like I love what you talked about, because you're accepting that it's hard, but you're still carrying on. And I think that's pretty impressive. I think you should be really proud of yourself. Really proud. It's been really interesting to hear.
Yeah,
so now thinking about whether. Sorry, I'm also now thinking about whether voice coaching would be an interesting coaching tool.
Yeah. I think it definitely could be.
And I just think like I've really seen you like you've gone for it. Do you know what I mean? Like you like. It is. I think you should be really proud of yourself, so because you have committed to it and you've thrown everything at it, and I think that's just incredible.
I think so what I see is that it's amazing. Sorry, there's a really big.
Sorry, go on. Anyway.
Oh, bless her.
Okay, so first off, where can we find you on? Where can we find you?
Honestly, just put my full name into Instagram, Amy Rose Brown. And then photography is on Instagram, and Amy Rose Brown Photography is my website. So it's not the most creative of names, but you'll see a picture of me and my sausage dog.
Businesses.
Yeah.
It's the most creative person.
Oh, thanks, guys. And then there'll be another place where you can hopefully find my videos and stuff, but I'll TBC. I'll come back to you on that.
Yeah, no worries. Will you come back to us and then we'll put them where they need to go. Okay, and final question. If you had to pick a song. In fact, Karen, why don't you ask this? It's been heavy on questions from me this time round.
It's because my internet keeps going off. So if you had to think of a song that summed up your life as it's been, all of your life or your life today, what would that song or songs be? And why?
It's a really hard question, and I'm glad that you texted me about this yesterday, Ellie, because it just gave me a minute. I actually went through my playlist and was like, wait, what have I been listening to? And I'm like a huge emo, so I listen to like really old school, like pop punk rock still from like my teenage years. So I was like, well, that's not really like what my life is like now. And I decided to choose a song that I have been listening to quite a bit because I do connect to it lately in this phase of my life, rather than a whole one that says about all my life. So the one that I've chosen is End of Beginning by Joe, DJO.
Okay.
And the reason because... You'll know it. You'll know the song.
You will have heard it. You just don't know that you've heard it.
Yeah. Okay, it's a bit random one that I've chosen. But the reason is because it's talking about the end of the beginning and ending a phase of a life and starting a new one. And I feel like that is exactly what I feel like has happened to me since turning 30 and deciding to set up my own business. It's like a completely different life than I am, version of my life and version of me I feel that I've started to create compared to me 2 years ago, a year ago. If you told me a year ago I would be here and have my own studio, and I would be like, nah.
And how?
I wouldn't believe you. So
amazing.
Yeah, it is. That's awesome. Brilliant. Oh.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us. That was fascinating.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
So. I really enjoyed the conversation. It was fun.
Yeah, really look forward to hearing what you're doing and seeing you on my telly. So.
Thanks, Karen.
Exactly. Which we will. So
one day.
I have no doubt about that.
Bridgerton.
Okay, thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.